starts out with a question. And my question is, how will you show up in life? We talk about the self with the lowercase s versus the self with the uppercase S. And that self which is unified with our awareness that we are one with God. What does this mean? And today I want to talk about what this means to me and one way of looking at it. When we come from the place of the small self, we are confined by the human condition and by our human experience that is governed by fear. By such things as our insecurities, our past experiences that have led us to believe that we are unworthy or somehow less than. This is the place that many of us live in, or have lived in for much of our lives. At least this is true for me. And the journey into the teachings of New Thought is the beginning of understanding a different way of living that comes from knowing our truth, a truth that is much mine as it is yours, the truth of each and every one of us. The search to know this truth is the reason that we are here, whether we're aware of it or not. Today, we're here to look at the fact that small self-thinking does not reflect the truth of who we are. And the life experience that is created from small self-thinking does not have to dictate or limit our life, but it does if we're not aware. As we explore this topic, I invite you to ask yourself, are you living from a place of smallness? And to consider the fact that you have control over this. It is a choice. Living from a place of the knowingness of ourselves, as the self with a capital S, is the understanding that, as Holmes says, man is a center of God in God. Whatever God is in the universal, man is in the individual. And that is why we say that all that I am, all that I am is of God. And when we really know this for ourselves, we know that, as Holmes says, there will no longer be a sense of separation, but in its place will come that divine assurance that he, meaning man, is one with God, and thus will find freedom from suffering, whether it be of body, mind, or estate. This is a place of real power that Holmes speaks of, and it comes from the realization of a very simple truth. This truth is the answer to many of the questions that man seeks in life. When we are aligned with the truth of our beingness in God, we know that there is only love. And I experienced this truth incredibly powerfully when my son died. There is only love. This knowing is now centered at the very deepest core of my being. We are faced with the very deepest questions about life and about ourselves when confronted with death. And the death of a very dear loved one causes the deepest inquiry into life and the meaning of life here on earth and life eternal. I imagine that you can relate to some of the questions that went through my mind when my son lost his battle with addiction. I went to the would'ves, should'ves, could'ves, and if onlys. And though I still struggle with them, when grappling with them, I know that I am moving into small self-thinking territory. I was living in fear that I had failed. I asked myself, what if I had done, seen, or said this or that? I went straight to the would'ves, should'ves, could'ves, if onlys, and then I understood. This was not about me. Our journeys were intertwined. And there was a soul agreement between my son and me that was meant to serve the highest good of both of us. Death at the age of 31 was his journey, and mine was to lose my precious son. There was nothing to be changed or altered, however. That time had passed. Now was the time to look at the present, which was the reality that he would no longer be beside me in his physical body. The gift of the then present reality was that in the end, there are no answers that make sense to the senseless questions that we ask when life does not go as we had planned or hoped. Now, not only is there only love in the end, the spiritual truth of who we are is that we are love. And the reason that we are here in this realm is to discover that fact and to express the love that we came here to be. And I'm going to repeat that. The spiritual truth of who we are is that we are love. And the reason that we are here in this realm is to discover this truth and to express the love that we came here to be. The most important thing in life, and the only thing that we leave behind, is how we've showed up. Life is about who we are and how and what we give of ourselves as reflected in how we make others feel. My son was not a saint. He made mistakes, he hurt himself and others deeply, and he had shortcomings just like the rest of us. But the legacy that he left behind was in the impact that he made while he was here. It was about how he had showed up in life. He had lived fiercely and fully, and he was a light that touched many. Despite his human failings, those failings that we all have, he lived as the love that we all came here to be. And in doing so, he was a healing presence. For me, the purpose of his death was to challenge me to live more fully as the love that God intended. And this is my message to you today and why I stand here now. My son taught me many things, not only during his lifetime, but through his death, and I continue to learn from him. One of the greatest lessons that he taught me, and one that I still remind myself of and often repeat, is not to take myself so seriously. He had a way of catching me during conversations, and sometimes all it would be that look from him that would say, "Mom, get over it. You're taking yourself way too seriously again." And we would both end up laughing at ourselves and at each other. So I often stop, and when I catch myself now, I remind myself that it's not about me. When I do this, I can let go. Problems disappear or dissipate. And sometimes I can even do things that I never ever thought possible, like standing up here in front of you today, giving the talk at Joyful Gathering. Things happen in life, and they happen to all of us. Life doesn't always turn out the way that we had hoped or planned. Sometimes there are detours and dead ends. We lose a job, a relationship ends, a diagnosis occurs, someone we care about disappoints us, an unexpected or costly expense comes up, our children don't listen to us and they do it their way. Imagine that. All of these things could be devastating for any one of us. The question becomes, how are we showing up to meet this? That is a choice that we can make if we see it as choice. And if we can realize, as Martha Creek would say, that it's not about us. This is that thing called life, and we are all in it. It is not happening to us, it is happening through us. Unless this is what we allow, unless we stay in that victim consciousness. There isn't always a safety net. Sometimes the bottom just drops out. Life is about accepting life on life's terms and getting over ourselves and deciding how we want to meet it. When we can understand life in this way, something quite radical might even occur. As many of you know, several of us were at the Anton Conference a few weeks ago in Missouri. And one of the speakers was Reverend Alison Benjamin from the Satya Center in Ogden, Utah. And she had lost her son just 3 weeks prior to giving that talk when he committed suicide. She had found him. She put it this way. She likes acronyms, and she told us something that had occurred for her as a result of her son's death, and she came up with the acronym STRETCH, S-T-R-E-T-C-H, which for her stands for Spirit Through Radical Evolutionary Thinking, Creating Change. So again, that's Spirit Through Radical Evolutionary Thinking, Creating Change. And she had 3 questions for us, the audience. They are terrific questions, and I'd like to share them with you. What if it's for me? What if it's easy? What if it's true? So I invite you to think of something challenging in your life right now, or something that was a challenge that remains unresolved, or to think of something that's an issue or a pattern that keeps repeating itself in your life. And consider that in terms of these questions. What if it is for me? What if it is easy? What if it is true? The inevitable question that comes up when we face a challenge as humans centers around why. When my son died, the answer for me was this. It was the full, utter, absolute understanding that there is only love. Death was the opportunity to know this in the deepest recesses of my soul. And I speak of both the human and the divine love. His death for me? Was it easy? Was it true? When I saw Martha Creek at the conference, she hugged me and she spoke into my ear. She said, he had to go. And amid tears I said, yes, I know he did. Though grief runs deep, and this is not the kind of loss to be gotten over, it was easy to know the rightness of God's plan over mine. His death was not about me. It happens through us, not to us. My son has moved on to a plane of existence that is pure, unconditional love, where his spirit may continue to evolve in a way that was no longer possible through the human experience in this lifetime. And I have been filled with a love that is even greater than anything that I have ever experienced or could imagine. And through knowing this, able to let go and to hold peace and pain at the same time. And this is true grace. There continue to be lots of things that I don't know, lots of things I'm still learning about this mystery that we call life. Both life in the physical body and life eternal, that continuum of life. One thing that I do know, however, is that life brings us exactly what we need to evolve. And as we understand and accept ourselves as the self of the human condition, we begin to glimpse that realm of the self, the one that is unified with God and all that God is. This is the self that can self-actualize. It is the one that we come here to be. The self that is rooted in the understanding that there is only love, that we are that love, and that we are here to express that love. We all get caught up in comparing ourselves to others, and sometimes, or most of the time as the case may be, we decide that we are less than. Not good looking enough, not young enough, smart enough, affluent enough, healthy enough, educated enough, worthy enough, and so forth. These are the thoughts that go through our minds and the beliefs that underlie them. We know from our own life experience and from our teachings that they are rooted in fear. And we know that they limit us. They limit our ability to express, and they limit the unlimited potential that exists for us to manifest the lives and the life experience that we desire. You might even be thinking these thoughts right now. You may be judging yourself, or me, or someone else. Take a moment to pause and remember that you and everyone around you is an individualized expression of the divine having a human experience, knowing that we all have the same fears, as well as the same desires to love and to be loved. And consider also that your judgment may be also about an unresolved part of yourself and not about the other person anyway. But embrace that part of yourself with compassion and understanding. There is no need to discount, to disown, or dismiss that part of you that is real as the human experience of yourself. We are all peace and pain, joy and sorrow, fearless and fearful. We are both and. As spiritual beings, we are not diminished by this, but we are diminished if our fear, rooted in a belief than less than, goes unchecked, because this would limit us or prevent us from showing up as peace, as joy, as fearlessness. You will have your own answers to the questions, what if it is for me? What if it is easy? What if it is true? For any given challenge that you face. It is through grappling with these questions, moving through them, and understanding the lessons that they are here to teach us, that we can experience love as joy, peace, forgiveness, the freedom that God intended for us, and we can be that for others. We are all equipped to do this. We all are able to say yes, and do not doubt this fact. Grief and love are the same thing. They do not oppose each other, though it seems like they do. But the presence of one in any given moment does not deny the other. And in reality, they represent the same thing, for they are both rooted in love. When we lose someone that we love or experience any other kind of loss in our lives, we become fearful because we think we are separated from the person or the thing that we want. We are afraid that we have lost it. In these situations, it becomes difficult to see that we remain connected to Source and to love. We experience separation. We experience the human separateness that leads us to lose sight of the truth. Love is all there is. We are that love, and we are here to express that love. Why are we so afraid to be the love that we came here to be? Why are you afraid? Or why are you here, if not to be who you came here to be? We are all creating in one way or another, and together we are healing ourselves and each other. We are all healers when we show up. When we express the love that is seeking its expression through us, the love that shows up in a myriad of beautiful, individualized ways. Each one of us is a very special instrument and necessary instrument in this orchestra of life. The awareness that there is only love brings us the ability to begin to live as the love that we came here to be, from a place that transcends the small self, from a place that is rooted in knowing our oneness with God, and not with some of what God is, but with all of what God is. And so I ask you again, how do you want to show up? How will you show up? One of my favorite works is by Marianne Williamson, and I would like to read it now. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. So as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. And we are liberated from our own fear, and our presence automatically liberates others. So I'd like to affirm this message together now. If you would close your eyes and either place your hands over your heart, or if you prefer, raise them up in the power position and repeat after me. And do this, please, with conviction, purposefully, enthusiastically. I am powerful beyond measure.
I am powerful beyond measure.
I am a child of God.
I am a child of God.
Brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous.
Brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous.
I make manifest the glory of God that is within me.
I make manifest the glory of God that is within me.
By expressing the love that is me.
By expressing the love that is me.
The love that I came here to be.
The love that I came here to be.
Thank you. Not quite finished. Not quite finished. The fire in your belly, the longing in your heart, the voice that deep within that longs to express itself, the dance in your feet, the music of your soul. These are all God's desires for you. You are the love of that most high being. In allowing them to express through you, they are the vehicle through which you become God, expressing as you, as the true self that you are. They are God looking to use you as the outlet for its expression of the love that you already are. The love that can take the form of kindness, compassion, empathy, joy, exuberance, compassion, and many other things. Expressing them is your ticket to freedom from the bondage of the small self. For as you allow them to be expressed, and as you step into a realm that is just beyond the edges of your comfort zone, as you step from smallness into the realm of, I am here to express the glory of God that indwells me, you step into a world of pure joy, of freedom, and of light. Make this choice for yourself by choosing to show up as the love that you came here to be. So in closing, I leave you with Holmes' words. Love is the greatest power in the universe. It is the base of all else. It is the cause of all that is. Feel your love to be like a great light, lighting the pathway of the whole world, and it will come back to you. And finally, I leave you with this question. What would you do differently if you were to step into a greater expression of yourself? And what would that look like? So I implore you to be the light that you came here to be. Discard the masks. Let the cloak that is the mantle of protection that you have assumed fall to the ground, and live life full out. Listen to the music that is within you and sing the song of life. And so it is.
And so it is.